Imagine pouring your whole life, your entire life, into buying your own house, making it your perfect little safe haven, only for your boyfriend to just give your place and your delicate koi pond away as a free holiday spot for his sister's kids. And then, when you tell him, no way, he acts like you're the crazy one for having boundaries. Ugh, honestly, today's story is a perfect example of why you should never, ever ignore those first few red flags. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We are diving headfirst into Reddit's relationship advice section for a seriously unbelievable post from a user called AntBadHost. Grab a snack, get comfy, and let's jump into this post. I'm gonna try to keep this organized, but my head is still spinning from how completely nuts this whole thing got. I'm writing this to vent, but also to try and figure out why I was actually thinking about breaking up with Dallas, my boyfriend of 2 years, all because of his nieces and nephew. But here's the spoiler. The kids weren't the real problem. The problem was his unbelievable sense of entitlement. Dallas is 34. We've been together for 2 whole years. I actually met him through my older sister Lilu and her husband Corbin. In the beginning, everything was really easygoing. I genuinely enjoyed spending time with him. He was fun. Our dates were good. Things just felt normal. But over time, a huge issue started to creep into our relationship. Here's the main problem. Dallas seemed to think we were already married. He lived in this fantasy where everything I owned suddenly belonged to him, too. For instance, he would constantly tell other people that my pets were his pets. I can't even count how many times I politely but firmly told him not to do that. They are not his pets. I pay their vet bills. I feed them. I take care of them. They will never be his pets. But the biggest problem was my house. I worked incredibly hard, saved all my own money, and bought my home completely by myself. It is my sanctuary. But Dallas saw my house as our future home. I have always been 100% honest and clear about my life and my future. Okay? I am an independent woman. This means my house is my house. My pets are my pets. And most importantly, I don't plan on getting married, and I absolutely do not want to have children. I've also told him countless times how uncomfortable I am around small children. Because of that, I have a strict rule. I don't allow young kids in my house. It's full of breakable things, it's quiet, and it's not set up for kids. Dallas had always been honest about his life too, and for 2 years, he seemed to totally understand and accept that these were my solid boundaries. I was not willing to compromise on them, at all. Or so I thought. 2 days ago, that whole idea completely fell apart. I was hanging out at Dallas's townhouse. We were just relaxing when his sister Jean called him. She was talking about visiting soon with her kids. She casually asked him if he could watch her kids for a whole week while she went on a vacation to Vegas. Without even pausing to think, Dallas told her, "Oh yeah, Zorg, who is 5, Diva, who is 7, and I don't even know how to pronounce the 9-year-old's name, are welcome at our home anytime. Just drop them off the week we get back from our vacation. We're going to Canada for a week, but after that is perfect." Now, since we were literally sitting in his living room in his townhouse when they had this conversation, I naturally thought he meant his own place. It made complete sense. He has the space for them. But the second he hung up the phone, the nightmare began. He turned to me and, completely serious, told me I needed to go grocery shopping for the kids. He started listing all the things they needed. The middle child, who I'll call P, is apparently a super picky eater and has to be on a really strict gluten-free diet because of some special autism diet her mom has her on. In fact, both of the younger kids have special needs. I was annoyed, but I tried to be a supportive girlfriend. I told him I would help him shop for his house, but I made it very clear that I was busy with work for most of that week. I told him I didn't want to, and simply didn't have the time to, look after his nieces and nephew. That's when he dropped the most insane thing I have ever heard. He brushed off my concerns and started saying things like, "Oh, don't worry, I won't let them bother the kittens too much, and they can just play in the pool to burn off energy." I froze. I stared at him, absolutely shocked. "Dallas," I said slowly, "it's a koi pond. It is not a swimming pool, so no, they absolutely cannot play in it." He completely ignored my panic. "Come on, there's so much room over there. They can play in the backyard with the dogs and not be a bother at all." He was talking about my house. He had just offered my home to his sister without even asking me. I immediately stood my ground. I told him I didn't want the kids to come over to my property at all. Not for a day, not for a week, never. I reminded him that they could just stay at his townhouse. He has plenty of room, and there's a huge public park right near his place. I have always been clear about this, but he just laughed it off. He treated my boundaries like a joke. He didn't even try to talk about it with me beforehand. He just ignored every single conversation we had ever had about me disliking kids under 10 and not being prepared to handle special needs children. I told him exactly how angry this made me. We had a huge, screaming fight right then and there, but he absolutely refused to back down. I realized in that moment that he didn't listen to me. He didn't care about my property, what I wanted, or what I needed. He just wanted to play the successful family man to show off to his sister. He didn't earn a house with a yard. He didn't save up for a house he could be proud of. He spends all his money on his own hobbies. But he wanted to use my hard work for his own image. I was not going to let my beautifully maintained house get destroyed by 3 kids. If you're wondering what happened next, here's the update from 3 weeks later. The short answer is Dallas and I broke up. We were actually broken up for about a week at first, but then he called me crying. He begged for me back, and honestly, we've all been there. I did the stupid thing and gave him another chance. That reconciliation lasted exactly 2 days before it blew up in my face again. Now, I am officially done with him for good, even though he literally won't stop calling me. That first breakup was over the whole house situation. When he called to apologize, he promised he would ask next time before inviting people over. I foolishly thought that was the end of it. I guess we both wrongly assumed we were right, and the other person would eventually give in. The final, definite relationship-ending fight happened when Dallas found out I was hosting a barbecue. I was having a nice backyard event for my sister Lilu and her husband Corbin during the exact same week the kids were going to be in town. But this wasn't a family party. It was an adults-only event for Corbin's work friends to celebrate a big promotion he just got. Corbin had been showing off about my beautiful koi pond at work. He actually bought a few of the fish in there and helps me take care of it, so his coworkers really wanted to see it. I told Corbin it was totally fine to host it at my place, as long as they promised to do all the dishes when we were done, because I absolutely hate doing dishes. I even offered to cook. I casually mentioned the barbecue to Dallas. Immediately, his eyes lit up and he said, "Great, I'll bring the kids." I shut that down right away. I told him absolutely no kids were allowed. It was a professional, work-related event, not a casual hangout. He got incredibly upset. He started arguing that it would be too much work to keep the kids at his house when they could just chill out at my house and not bother anyone. I looked at him and asked, "Why do you think the kids are going to be at my house at all?" He looked back at me and said, "Because you agreed to have them." I was furious. I told him that was absolutely not happening. I officially uninvited him from the barbecue on the spot. I also told him we were no longer going to Canada together. I was going, but he was staying behind. I immediately called a good friend of mine and had them agree to house sit for me while I was away, just to make sure Dallas didn't try to break in or show up. Then I went on the trip with my sister and had an amazing time. So now I am completely single. The barbecue went great, by the way. But Dallas, he has completely lost his mind. He has stopped by my house several times unannounced, trying to force a conversation. I finally had to threaten to call the police on him for trespassing. He still obsessively writes me these long, sobbing, manipulative messages on Facebook. I blocked his account, but he is literally using his friends' accounts to get past my blocks. That's the end of the drama. If anyone has tips or tricks on ditching a crazy, delusional ex who won't leave you alone, please let me know.
Wow. Just wow. The community did not hold back on this one. Let's look at what people had to say about Dallas's insane behavior. Commenter 1 said, "You two sound very different. He sounds like he's looking for a family kind of woman, kids or no kids. You two don't sound compatible from this description at all. It was obvious what the problem was before the kids even entered the story." Commenter 2, "I'm stuck on how multiple friends let him use their Facebook accounts to get past her blocking him. If one of my close friends asked for that, I'd sit them down and have a long chat about what a toxic, stalker-level bad idea that is." Commenter 3, "How the heck does someone mistake a koi pond for a swimming pool? Those are delicate ecosystems with living fish. Did he want his special needs nieces swimming with the fish? This guy doesn't live in the real world." Honestly, guys, reading this post made my blood boil. It is absolutely crazy how someone can just try to replace your reality with their own fantasy. Dallas wasn't just misunderstanding the original poster. He was actively trying to rewrite her life to make his own life easier. He wanted the look of a beautiful house with a backyard to show off to his family, but he was too lazy to build that life for himself. So he just decided OP's house was his house. This is the definition of toxic behavior. He didn't see OP as an independent person with her own strict boundaries and financial assets. He saw her as an accessory in his own life movie. The fact that he was willing to dump 2 special needs children near a fragile koi pond just to avoid taking care of them at his own perfectly fine townhouse shows how unbelievably selfish he is. Thank goodness OP stood her ground. She protected her peace, secured her sanctuary, and refused to be bullied into giving in. It is hard to break up with someone you care about, but when they disrespect your boundaries this badly, you just have to let them go.